Welcome to Life Esteem, a program committed to delivering information that's important to you and your community.
Hello, welcome again to Life Esteem. Hey, we're always glad to see you. And today we're going to talk about the Bhutanese community. And we have with us TIKA DHUNGANA, who is the founding president of the Bhutanese community here in Harrisburg. I'm so glad to have you on the show.
Thank you so much for inviting me as your guest today.
And also, I know that you're a former refugee.
Yes.
Okay, and you came to this country from Bhutan.
Bhutan.
Tell us all about that experience.
Is in 1990, the government of Bhutan, the king, he didn't like the differences in our belief and differences in the way of life.
Okay.
And that is why he decided to implement a policy called One Nation and One People, which means he likes to keep the people who have similar or same culture and tradition and beliefs, and he wanted to change all people who have differences in belief and way of life. So my parents technically were landlord of $1 million worth of the properties, has to become refugee. That time I was about 13 years, and all my family and other people who speak Nepali, most of them become refugee without any reason.
Wow.
And how long were you in the refugee camp?
I was there for about 18 years.
18?
18 years?
Yes.
In the refugee camp?
In the refugee camp in different country, in Nepal.
In Nepal?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. With your family? Were your family all together?
We were about 100,000 people who speak Nepali, became refugee that time. So we were all in a cluster houses in Nepal in the refugee camp.
In the camp there.
Here in Harrisburg, we noticed that there's a couple areas, but in one particular area, uptown Harrisburg, near Division Street,
Green.
come on down Green, there's a lot of Bhutanese. The Bhutanese community is really sort of settled there. Is that correct?
Yes, when our people first come to this country through resettlement process, resettlement agency, they try to negotiate with the apartment complexes where they find some inexpensive apartment.
Okay.
That is why they decided to keep many families in Green Street and many other families in Thomas Street,
Okay.
close to Klein Plaza,
Oh, yeah.
Klein Health, and many were in Penswood apartment. But now they are spreading all over Harrisburg city because they started buying houses and they are looking for different areas where they can find their houses.
I understand there's been some very difficult adjustments for especially the younger people. They're getting involved in some things that, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we are very shocked because we have never seen different type of substances in our country.
Okay.
And I even doesn't know the names of those substances.
Yeah.
But our young folks, after they come to this country, maybe their neighborhood or their friends in the school might carry those substances, and our young folks are attracted by those substances. And it is very shocking news for us because last time I got a call from drugs and alcohol, Dauphin County Drugs and Alcohol, and they have a big concern about our refugee young kids. They were admitted in the hospital, about 14 of them in one weekend.
14?
So they were having like drug overdoses?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Drug overdoses, and we had a conferences about those incidents happen because since we all came, those kids, when they were asked what drugs they might have taken, they didn't answer.
Wow.
Because they didn't know the name.
They didn't know the name
They
of the
didn't know the
drugs.
name.
Yeah, you know. And so that's been introduced to these young folks by, you know, just being out and about with their peers. And what kind of problems is it causing? Are they dropping out of school? Are they being arrested? You mentioned they end up in hospitals. What things are you seeing that is causing the alarm?
Yes, I have a couple of families whose kids are dropped out from the school. They didn't wanted to go to school,
Yeah.
and he dropped after he completed 11th grade. The family were expecting him to graduate because none of the children in that family were educated. So they have a big expectation from their kids to graduate and go some higher education and improve the life of the family. At least few kids, if they speak English at their home, then they don't have to look for neighbor or friends to interpret or to translate whatever they get in the mail or whatever offices they have to go, you know.
Yeah.
But their dream has been, you know,
Yeah.
so badly damaged.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, and I know how difficult that is. But one of the things that you have, I'll say, through your community organization, has really been hopefully moving proactively. And tell us about how you got involved with the Certified Recovery Specialist Training through Department of Drug and Alcohol Services.
Yes, we are very fortunate enough with Dauphin County Drugs and Alcohol because they wanted to include us in that training, which was especially designed to educate us and certified recovery specialist. So once they come to know that our kids are involved in drugs and we are very shocked, they decided to include our population so we can educate our community folks about the stigma that we have about the drugs.
Yeah.
You know, we have a bad stigma. Our people, they don't accept this as a disease.
Yes.
They only consider addiction a social problem and kind of social and cultural problem. That is why even if the parents know their kids involved, they don't want to share. So this is a real challenge for us.
I can imagine. Yeah, I can imagine. And like you said, they don't want to share, and they seem like it's an embarrassment, so they don't want to ask for the help. I heard you mention the stigma, you know. So it becomes a catch-22. But I did notice that there were some efforts. For example, there was over at the One Church Kingdom Embassy.
Yeah, we brought some folks together.
Yeah, you had a number of people come out from the community, and then you had a number of the service providers talk about the services they provide. Was that helpful to your community?
Some level, because our people, I have already said, they have a big stigma.
Yeah.
And once they come to this type of gathering,
Yeah.
they don't want to ask.
Right.
They seems they understand, but many of them don't understand.
Yeah.
Simply know their head when somebody asks, "Are you okay?" Yes,
So
but
you
they
just-
might have pain inside. So,
Yeah.
but at least
Yeah.
they come to know the new, you know,
Sure.
new people. And if it is, if those type of activities could have some interpreter, then that may be more helpful.
Okay. Okay. So
Now,
one.
when we think about the sessions, you've attended almost all the sessions at this point now, and you'll be able to sit for your exam and be, certified yourself. Has this allowed you to better appreciate the whole process of addiction and to understand and recognize how possibly to help others as they're moving forth in their recoveries? That's been helpful to you?
Yes, it's absolutely helpful because even I was not aware that drug addiction or substance abuse is a disease and this can be treated. So now I came to know that this is a disease and it is not just a social problem or cultural problem. So we have to now educate our community seniors and community people about the impact of this drug abuse and how it impact our brain and how it impact on our health. So it, and if we can consider this as a disease and approach to appropriate resources, then it can be treated, you know.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit more. You know, I would imagine most people don't know a lot about Bhutan. And so all of a sudden, you know, we had these wonderful neighbors from the Bhutanese community. But it's like, okay, where do they come from? Oh, Bhutan, what is that about? Tell us a little bit about Bhutan, and have you been back?
No, I have not been back because Bhutan is a country between Tibet and India.
Okay.
A small country with the population of about 600,000 to 700,000.
Okay.
And we were the southern Bhutanese. We speak Nepali and follow different culture and tradition than the establishment or the king of Bhutan.
So there's
That
actually
is
a
why-
king of Bhutan.
That is why they didn't wanted to see the differences we have. So we were chased out of Bhutan, and still there is king. There is no democracy. There is no media. There is no
media.
No media. There is no international agencies in Bhutan. So we cannot go back to Bhutan. Technically,
Yeah.
we cannot go back.
Sheesh.
And so what were, you said culture and traditions. Tell us about some of your cultures and traditions and how that adjustment has been for you now in this country.
This country, our culture is we follow Hindu religion. Most, about 90% of our people follow Hindu.
Okay.
Some follow Christian, about 5, and some follow Buddhism. So we have culture and tradition that was from Nepal. And we speak Nepali. Most of people, over 99% speak Nepali.
Wow.
So our culture was not accepted by the country where we were born, and we were not accepted in the country where we speak their language and follow their culture. And we were finally accepted by stranger. United States was stranger to us.
Stranger, yeah.
Yes.
But the people and the country are so great that they could accept us as their citizen or as their residents.
Residents, yeah.
So we don't have any problem here.
Okay.
If we understand, if we respect the other culture, then worship our own culture, then there shouldn't be any problem in this country.
So when the, and still going on, the big debate about keeping refugees out of the country if they were not properly, registered, this kind of thing. How did that play out in your community? Was there fear? Were people talking about it? What was going on?
Yes, many, especially senior people who don't read English and who don't understand English, they mostly have fear.
Okay.
And even people like us, kind of uncomfortable, because to me, I always convince to our people that if we don't commit any crime in this country,
Right.
be comfortable, because they might be looking for certain crime before they actually send us back to anywhere. And especially refugee like me, we don't have anywhere to deport.
About that.
If they have to deport, then they may have to drop in the ocean or they may have to drop somewhere,
Yeah.
because we don't have our country. This is our country now. We are the citizen, and every day our people are turning to the citizen of this country.
Okay.
So, so you are a citizen now of the United States?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm a citizen now.
Of the United States of America.
Yeah.
Okay.
What was that process like when you were going through? You came in the 90s, right?
No, I became a refugee in 90s, but I
Okay.
came to this country in 2010.
Oh, 2010.
Oh, you hadn't been
you-
here, but then-
oh, okay.
okay.
Okay, so you actually became a refugee in 1990, but 2010 you were here. And so the adjustment, I'm sure, had to be, were you speaking English before you got here?
Yes,
Okay.
we had a education sponsored by UNHCR
Ah, okay.
and Caritas.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't have much difficult as far as communication,
Okay.
but we did have difficult understanding people
Yes.
like you guys
Yeah.
when you first come to this country.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You have to try to figure out the customs and the
Yes.
language and all that kind of stuff, the laws, right?
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
the gesture and the
Yes.
tones.
I heard they said that even when the process goes well, usually a refugee is looking at about 2 years before they actually start the process and then come into the country. Was that your experience?
Yes, it took 2 years for me, but there are people whose process complete a little faster than me, maybe in 1 year, and there are people whose process still
Going
more
on.
than 10 years,
Oh my goodness.
still
Wow.
waiting because it is the extensive process involved the Department of Homeland Security of this country.
Yeah.
So it is not easy process. Just you are a refugee, you're going to go to United States of
No.
America. No, no, no.
Not like that
We
at
have
all.
to go through all screening, all fingerprinting, all physical examination. All this process. So it's not easy.
Not easy. So what about employment then? People have to work, they have to, get that money in order to. So was it difficult to assimilate? Did you create your own businesses? How did the Bhutanese community gather itself in Harrisburg?
Yes, it was really difficult at the beginning, but our people were so grateful to this country. They didn't frustrate. They just keep hope because we have heard that this country is the country of opportunities, but we have to be patient and keep improving the skills that are needed for this country. Skills, language skill, and other skills that are needed for the employment. So now we have many businesses everywhere. Even in Harrisburg, we have population of around 10,000, little over 10,000 or little below 10,000, but I don't know the exact population. But we have about 9 grocery store
Do you?
owned by our own people,
Okay.
and we have about 5 agencies, home care agencies, open in Harrisburg
Yeah.
Wow.
and run by our people. So we have many different businesses, and our folks are now supervisor in the company.
Nice.
Some of them are manager of the company, even in the Walmart.
The Walmart.
Yes.
Okay.
And some are teachers, some are IT professional, making about 100,000 a year.
All right.
So
That's good.
we are progressive,
Yeah, yeah.
So
when you look at, what your youth are going through, and hopefully they see the connection of your growth and the way you're beginning to, lack of a better word, assimilate into the community and everything. Are you afraid that your youth aren't seeing the same path and the same opportunities? Or what do you think? Because I know that there's a lot of concern there about the youth. And what can we as a community do to support the Bhutanese community better?
Bhutanese community, we are adjusting.
Yeah.
We are coping of all the cultural differences. We are trying our best.
Yeah.
We are peace lover.
Yeah.
We don't involve in violence, or we don't involve in any type of agitation. But our people, they need exposed to the resources available in the community,
Good.
which most people doesn't know.
Yeah.
That is why whenever I see the resources, I jump into it. and I want to share with the community, so
Good.
at least they know if what happened, if they are addicted, if their kids are addicted, and what should they do,
Yeah.
whom should they approach.
Yeah.
Maybe it is best idea to keep their kids in rehab, and or to call 911 everywhere. Our people only know how to call 911. Even for simple problem, they may call 911. So we
They
lack
can
the
call
resources.
211 now, though. 211.
Oh, that's right.
211.
You can't call 211. That's right. Yeah.
So
Which
resources.
is yeah.
I want to be the bridge between our community and the policy making
Yeah.
or the resources. That is why we want to grab all the opportunity that are available in the community.
Yeah.
What was your experience? I mean, what was your work background? What were you doing before you came here to this country?
I was a master in chemistry
A master's in chemistry.
from
nice.
Nepal,
Okay.
and I was a lecturer. I used to teach high school and bachelor level students in Nepal. But
Wow.
after I came to this country, all my career changed. My career has changed to social worker.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
I have been, from the beginning, I have been advocating and I have been helping our people whenever they need any type of assistance. So I am kind of a broker, unpaid broker.
All right.
Community resource worker.
Yeah. But every community has to have that unpaid broker who just gets it done, right?
Yeah.
And that seems to be you, because you're the president of the Bhutanese community.
I founded the community, but now we have different president. We have all. We founded in 2011. Now we have already 2 of the new president taken over.
Taking over.
Good stuff. But you are the foundation. You're the one that laid it all out.
Yes.
And everything. That's good stuff. And now, how large is the Bhutanese community here in Harrisburg in terms of just raw numbers? Just a guess. About 10,000? Is that what I heard you say?
Yes, maybe over 10,000 now,
Okay.
because internal migration from different cities and states is increasing every day,
Yeah.
and more than 1,000 people houses, they already bought their houses in Harrisburg.
Okay.
So
Are they founding their own churches, and they don't call them church? What do they call? 'Cause you're-
temple.
Temples.
We do have church. We do have 2 Christian group,
Okay.
and one of, I think they are already in the process of planting the church.
Wow. Nice.
And we are Hindu. We have already bought a land of 7.5 acre. That worth almost 300,000. So we are in the process of building a temple, but we still looking for the funds.
Yeah.
Make that
It makes
happen.
that's a long haul there,
Yes.
right? That's not an easy thing. So, when it comes down to just basic things like, barber shops and, I don't know, just whatever services that, communities generally need. Have you been able to find those things, accommodate you, or have you had to create your own as a community?
We have no problem now.
Okay.
We did struggle at the beginning because when we first came to this country, we see all new technologies and all new system.
Oh, yeah.
We used to drive bicycle
Yes.
back in our country, but we have difficult riding the cycle in this country because there is no free way in our country. Everywhere free, whatever you desire. You shouldn't follow any regulation and system. So
Just go, huh?
just go. But here we have to follow restriction and
Yes.
So, and we even didn't know how to ride in a bus.
Oh, yeah.
Back in our country, we used to take money and we used to have contractor when we just get into the bus. Okay, this much is my fare. But here we have to, approach to the driver and put money
Put the money in that
ourselves.
change machine. Yeah. And people don't think about those things,
Yeah.
but that's a major adjustment coming into a new community like this, you
Yeah.
know. Yeah, so fascinating, just absolutely
You
fascinating.
had to learn how to drive then, since you were doing
Then
bicycle.
we have to learn how to drive. Before we actually learn to drive, we have to pass the permit test, you know.
The test, yeah.
We have to read and all this. It was difficult, but what I was so lucky enough to contact with International Service Center.
Okay.
When I first came to this country, within few months, I did connection with them, and I asked them to arrange interpretation program so that we can interpret for our people who don't read
Yes.
English in Pandit.
Right.
So after that, even people who have no formal education, they started driving, you know.
Oh, wow.
Before that, there was no way they can drive a car.
Speaking of which, has the local educational systems, have they been accommodating? Have they been able to make the adjustment to help the Bhutanese student and parents understand curriculum, rules and regulations and all that?
Yes, they even used to hire an interpreter at the beginning of the years, and I used to do interpretation in their PSSA test, something like that.
Oh, you did, okay.
And so they have good adjustment for kids. They put our kids in their ESL program.
Yes.
So, and they do parents teacher meeting. So they do have good programs for our parents, but some school they even don't report their parents if their kids don't come to the school.
Yeah, okay. Wow.
But most school they send a letter that their kids didn't appear in the school, and they follow up, you know.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah.
some school are there who doesn't even follow.
Yeah, I'd imagine also one of the things now when I think of Bhutan, I think of a hot country. You know, the weather being totally different than what we have here in central Pennsylvania. How did you adjust to the winters? I mean, did you have winters back in Bhutan?
No, I especially, you know, most of our people, they have not practiced or they have not seen snow physically.
Okay.
They might have seen through picture, or they might have seen in movies.
Yeah.
Some of them might have traveled to mountain, snow mountain,
But by and large, though.
but more than 90% have not seen
Wow.
snow. So
Well, I know we've run out of time, and I really want to thank you for coming on. This has been fascinating, Tika. We got to talk more even after the show here. But I want to thank Tika Dogan for coming on, Dugana, for coming on the show and talking about the Bhutanese community. They are our neighbors. They're here, and we need to help them as much as we possibly can. Get to know them. That's one of the first things we need to do. And I want to thank you so much for taking time to watch this program. And we'll see you hopefully next time here on Life Esteem. Goodbye.
thank you.